The Israeli government has been guilty of exactly that. Guilty of meddling in our politics.
13 out of the then 25 members of the Labour cabinet received hundreds of thousands in donations from pro-Israel donors.
For the 2 years this government has supported the state of Israel through the unimaginable genocide in Gaza.
Criticising the state of Israel and its actions, especially its present government, is not anti-Semitic.
It's not about the Jewish community. It's about the state of Israel. And I think we must be careful in our words and ensure that we don't conflate the two. But it's always said that the strength of a nation's alliance is measured by how much it can endure. And for the 2 years this government has supported the state of Israel through the unimaginable genocide in Gaza, illegal settlement building in the occupied West Bank, and even with the war in Iran. It is also said that the power of a lobby group is measured by how far a government can be pushed beyond the limits of policy making. And I think it's fair to say that for millions up and down this country, the government's approach towards Israel has defied the most basic logic, justice and humanity. Continued arms sales amid mass extermination, the weaponization of terrorism law to silent dissent, the welcoming of wanted war criminals on the steps of 10 Downing Street. With every decision this government has made, it's not only reasonable to ask questions about political influence in Britain, it's necessary. As I say, it's not about Jewish communities, it's not about Jewish identity, and it's not about denying anyone the right to advocate for Israel, Palestine, or any other state. Lobbying, in fact, is part of our democracy. But when such practices become shrouded in secrecy, while shifting huge sums of money, we must ask, is this government truly committed to cleansing our politics of foreign influence, or is it just concerned with blocking the foreign donations they don't get? This is about more than simply election funds. It's about access and about influence. Anyone who claims that these donors receive nothing in return is being naive. The transactional nature of donations applies no less to those in the highest echelons of our democracy. Just this year, Labour Friends of Israel, who funded many of these cabinet members, was reported to the Electoral Commission over concerns about opaque funding arrangements. Ministers in this government publicly identify themselves as members of that organisation, yet it is not registered as a members' association and therefore avoids the further disclosure requirements that accompany that status. That cannot be right. More troubling still is the question of direct support from the Israeli state. Electoral records show that the Israeli Ministries of Foreign Affairs has provided financial support to UK parliamentarians, and that must be transparent.
It's indeed a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship. This debate touches on the principle fundamental to our democracy. British democracy is by the British people, for the British people, and accountable to the British people. No foreign government, no matter who they are, should abuse our system for privileges at the cost of British interests. Historically, many foreign actors tried to meddle in our politics for their interests. Over the past decade, the Israeli government has been guilty of exactly that. Guilty of meddling in our politics for the interests of what is ultimately a foreign nation. This is not a debate about international relations, foreign policy, or the Palestine-Israel conflict, nor is it a debate about the right of British citizens to advocate for their views. To make matters more apparent, in 2017, an Israeli official employed at the London embassy was recorded by an undercover journalist expressing his desire to take down pro-Palestine British politicians. The Israeli official named Shai Maysat expressed his goal to take down the ex-minister Alan Duncan because of his criticism of Israel's illegal settlement expansion.
On that point, my good friend, give way.
I'll give way.
I thank my good friend for giving way. And would my friend agree that this government hasn't gone far enough in terms of challenging the expansion of illegal settlements? And would you agree with me that too many red lines have been crossed and this government has sat on their hands and done very little to change it?
Mohammed. Sorry. Tahali.
Thank you for that intervention. whilst I can agree with the sentiments that have been put forward, but this debate is about lobby groups, especially the Israeli government. Pro-Israeli lobby groups have paid hundreds of thousands in political donations in the UK. The evidence is countless, which I will refrain from sharing due to time limits. If we believe in democracy, then we must demand scrutiny. If we value our sovereignty, then we must demand accountability. If we believe in British independence, then we must ensure no foreign state, whether Israel, China, Russia, Iran, or India, or any other country, is permitted undue influence over our institutions. I urge the government to strengthen lobbying regulations, improve disclosure requirements, and review the relationship between foreign governments and parliamentary bodies. British policy must be determined by British interests, British law, and British democratic accountability. In January 2025, Lord Austin was reappointed as the UK trade envoy to Israel. Last October, it was revealed that government officials had urged ministers to allow Lord Austin to pursue a visit in May 2025. Yet this came after the Foreign Secretary's announcement in May 25 that the UK would suspend free trade agreement talks with Israel in response to its blockade of Gaza and its attack on hospitals. Despite the government saying that the trade envoy would not meet any representative.
Join my honourable friends from across the chamber to condemn all forms of anti-Semitism in all forms, anywhere. My remarks referring to Israel refer to Israeli government actions and organisations, interactions with parliamentarians in this place. In 2024, Declassified UK, June 2024, revealed 13 out of the then 25 members of the Labour cabinet received hundreds of thousands in donations from pro-Israel donors, and that some 180 Britain's 650 MPs had accepted such funding during their political careers. That's 1 in 4 elected members. If I can continue, please. The 255 constituents that signed this petition and the 118,000 that signed from across the country would just like to hold our government and our system to account for these donations. What are they for and what... I'll give you.
Gareth.
Thank you, Honourable, for giving way. He made the big claim about from pro-Israeli donors. Could he just clarify what he actually means by that? Does he have a particular definition about what that actually means in terms of who those donors were and the purpose that he believes that money was given?
Iqbal Mohammed.
Thank you. I thank my honourable friend for his intervention. Donors that turn a blind eye to blatant violations of Israeli law, British law, or international law. That's where I would leave that definition. So if Britain claims to defend its democracy from foreign interference, I'll continue because of time won't allow. We rightly sanction Russia for undermining democratic institutions, warn about the threat from China and Iran to our political system, yet when substantial evidence of foreign influence concerns Israel, our principles of transparency, scrutiny and accountability appear to vanish. And I will, given the lack of time, just give one example. Elbit Systems, Israel's largest arms manufacturer, operates 16 sites across the UK and supplies around 85% of Israel's drones and military ground equipment, systems that have been widely used during Israel's genocide in Gaza. Declassified UK reported that in December 24, representatives of Elbit Systems met Home Office officials in a private meeting with details under FOI exemptions. Elbit Systems benefits from substantial British defence contracts. The defence industry cannot be unshielded from privileged and secret critical access without accountability. So no democracy should exempt any state from scrutiny, no lobby should be beyond accountability, and no government should let political convenience override the principles of democratic integrity.
Unfortunately, that conflating government's religion, people's religion to the government's action is totally unacceptable. Criticising the State of Israel and its actions, especially its present government, is not anti-Semitic, as it would be the bombing of Iraq or Afghanistan Islamophobic. I want to concentrate my speech on particularly Elbit, which supplies around 85% of the Israeli military drones and land-based military equipment. As the International Court of Justice considers allegations of genocide, and while the ICC has issued arrest warrants against the Israeli Prime Minister and former Defence Minister, Elbit continues to profit from the genocide in Gaza. United Nations investigators have documented the repeated use of armed quadcopter drones against Palestinian civilians. One of those systems, the Lonius drone, is manufactured by Elbit. Elbit has a significant presence in my city of Leicester through its manufacturing and technology operations. The company generates billions of dollars in annual revenue while supplying military equipment used in a conflict that is subject of allegations of genocide before the International Court of Justice. That's why parliamentary scrutiny of its access to ministers is essential. It is deeply alarming that Freedom of Information disclosures reveal repeated meetings between Elbit executives and the Home Office. Briefing papers have shown ministers were preparing to reassure the company in response to Pal Action protests. They also revealed that Home Office officials had been in contact with the police regarding those protests, while another meeting was scheduled to include a representative from the Attorney General's office. It is disturbing that while ministers meet privately with executives from a company whose weapons are alleged to have been used in acts now under scrutiny before international courts, those who want to challenge those activities through protest increasingly face being associated with terrorism. While the suppliers of war and genocide are granted meeting with ministers, those opposing the machinery of war risk being treated as a threat. Most troubling of all, the section of the ministerial briefing entitled "Past Lobbying" was redacted. If there is nothing to conceal, why are the details of previous lobbying withheld from Parliament and the public? The question for the Minister is straightforward. Why was an arms manufacturer being reassured by government departments while international legal proceedings over genocide in Gaza continue? And what safeguards exist to ensure that commercial relationships with any foreign defence contractors do not influence policing, prosecutorial independence or British foreign policy? Transparency is not optional. If ministers are confident these relationships are appropriate, then they should have no objection to placing them fully in the public domain.